Hey, I'm back. I was going to do a video yesterday. I had a little bit of trouble with my computer. It was causing me some issues. And I would like to thank my friend online, Daryl Hinton, for giving me the suggestion I needed to go with to get this computer operating efficiently again. It was a less expensive way to do this because I was about to buy a new computer, and I am probably still going to buy a new computer to improve sound and quality. But anyway, I would have gone into withdrawals if I would have not been able to go and make, oh no, another political commentary. So here I am. That's what I'm doing. At one of the recent Medicare for All March for Medicare for All that took place in New York, Frank Analysis was out there, and he happened to have a nice little chat with Shoe0nHead, and I will be playing the video segment because I have a perspective on this. Because well, as a leftist, I am like other leftists. We're trying to figure out where to go and what to do. So give me a moment here, and we will. And I'm going to play this, and I will comment.
Shoe0nHead? The Shoe0nHead? Oh, nice to meet you. Hi. Sorry. Frank Analysis. Yeah, so is it alright if I ask you just like a question or two? So do you see any way forward like with electoral politics, or you think that we need more direct action like this or only direct action like this?
I feel like there is a way with electoral politics. I feel like we're slowly, not quick enough, getting there. I know that Biden promised public option, but that he dropped that quick. And
I'll give you one more.
I think things like this bring attention to more normal stuff, and more people get fired for stuff like this, the noise they'll make. And I think electing people sort of like AOC and people like that who will get into the Democratic Party is the easiest way to go about it. I'm not like a revolution type of person, so like I don't know, more of a reform. But
Do you think that things are getting worse under Joe Biden, like they would have like under any corporate Democrat?
I think it's gonna. Nobody's gonna learn from what happened by Trump.
Right.
And I feel like we're gonna get more Trump if Biden doesn't actually do anything or get anything done. I feel like nobody learned from
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, like Biden did like the child tax credit thing, which I think is nice. Like that's one of his good policies. But
it could be also a silver lining for people to see that we're thinking all our problems aren't going to get solved under a Democrat. Like things are just going to keep getting worse no matter which corporate politician we have. So what would be your advice to people on how we can keep up this momentum of going out?
Stay passionate about things like this. Don't ever, just like all things are the way they are. We can't do anything about it. Because I know people sort of get like black pilled.
Yeah.
They're just like, well, we can't do anything. Just keep every social movement, every has started like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you coming out here. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye.
Well, I have some comments about it, and one, I mean, it's kind of like we're all kind of, whether we proclaim ourselves to be revolutionary or revolutionary Marxists or what have you, or just stayed safe, softy social democrats or something in between. Um, we're all kind of headed toward the same place. I mean, we're not about to become an anarcho syndicalist utopia. um, after we meet the goals and criteria that we want, we're. I mean, realistically, we won't be an anarcho-syndicalist utopia. Um, but we really got to go and challenge this horrible model that it kind of started before Reagan, and not that Jimmy Carter was an architect of it, but it kind of started before Reagan. It was like between Nixon and Reagan, the momentum was kind of starting to catch up, and it was like the very last vestiges of what was called a New Deal consensus. I think that between 1972 and 1980 is when the New Deal consensus died, and the neoliberal model, or uh, uh, the modern age of what we have today, started formulating, and it went on hyper overdrive when Reagan came along in 1980 and Margaret Thatcher in 1979, and we are still living with the repercussions of that. And the thing about it is that I mean, for what I can understand about Frank Analysis, I watch his program occasionally. He's a little more on the revolutionary side, obviously, whereas Shoe0nHead is a little more on the social democratic side of the equation. And that's neither criticism or praise, just a matter of fact, saying these things. And you know, all on the safe side when it comes to what we need to do about healthcare. Medicare for all, and you can define Medicare for all as the way it exists in Canada, or the way I would like it to be, like it is in Great Britain. And I'm sure Frank Analysis and Shoe0nHead would be on the same page as I am on that issue. So, right now, um, both Shoe0nHead and Frank Analysis, and an unknown entity like myself, that's irrelevant, but I just want to go give my 2 cents worth. Um, believe that under Joe Biden, nothing's really being done the way it needs to be done to get where we need it to go. I mean, I, I was glad that Shoe0nHead, for example, recently basically told Bosch, and I don't want to sound like I'm crapping on Bosch all the time. And usually when I mention Bosch, it's usually kind of on the negative side. I like Bosch, okay, but sometimes Bosch personificate too much. He pontificate. I'm sorry, that was the word. Pontificates too much, and he's not really, in my opinion, too much of a listener. And for all the great rhetoric he gives on his program, a lot of it makes sense. There's not much I can say I disagree with. The problem I have with Bosch is that when it comes right down to it, he sometimes sounds just like another Democrat, maybe a little bit louder than your standard Democrat. But it's always, we got to go and be patient, and not rock the boat. And I have fellow lefties who are good faith actors that weren't too thrilled about forced to vote. Um, however, from day one of hearing this whole idea of forced to vote, never mind that Jimmy Dore came up with the idea. This is not about Jimmy Dore, but what a good idea is a good idea. And it's something that the left said if they ever started to have some leverage that they would do. And once they're in that situation when there is leverage, then it's like they're afraid. And I am afraid when they're afraid, because I'm afraid with them being afraid that the squad are on their way to being fairly indistinguishable from Nancy Pelosi. That's what their fate's going to be 15 years down the road. That we'll look back at some other left movement and be like, well, you remember when AOC and Rashida Tlaib and Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush were campaigning on these things like Medicare for all, and all of a sudden, they're now part of the establishment. And I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying I feel like there's a danger of that happening, and it's happened time and time again. It's a repeated pattern, and she sensed it, and she was like gung ho about, yeah, she hated Biden, but she encouraged the left to vote for Biden so we can go and be obnoxious and push them left and make them make the corporate Democrats feel uncomfortable. The only people who are making the corporate Democrats feel uncomfortable are Democrats to the right of the corporate Democrats that the squad supposedly have a beef with, which is why they're there in the first place. Um, I, Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema, that and the like. And the thing about it is that Shoe0nHead wants to keep the faith in working in the Democratic Party. Frank Analysis, if what I understand, and if he hears this and I'm wrong, he can correct me. It seems like Frank Analysis supports the Movement for People's Party. And there is a rift on the left about this whole notion of a People's Party. My take, and I have been involved with third party activism for many years. And my take on it is that, and I've worked inside the Democratic Party too, on a very micro level. I was in the College Democrats, and I've served on some Democratic campaigns in the past, and and I saw no positive return from it. Probably the Democratic Party candidacy that I've ever worked the hardest for was the Clinton Gore campaign in 1992. And mind you, that is the Democratic ticket that I probably regretted the most voting for. And no, I wouldn't have voted for George Herbert Walker Bush in 1992 either. I despise the Bush family, but now I despise the Clintons equally. Since the Socialist Party USA wouldn't have been on the ballot, if I could go back to the year 1992, I would have probably held my nose and voted for H. Ross Perot, just as a fuck you to both Bill Clinton and George Herbert Walker Bush. Because, with voting for Bill Clinton in 1992, what happened? We continue George Herbert Walker Bush's presidency. Basically, when Bill Clinton stepped down in 2001, he just completed the fourth term of he completed the third term of George Herbert Walker Bush. George Herbert Walker Bush, basically, as far as I'm concerned, his agenda was reelected in 1992, even though he wasn't. And so I worked, as I said, in campaigns like Bill Clinton and Al Gore, just to be disappointed. I've been involved with third-party activism. I've worked on the Ralph Nader campaign for the presidency. I've worked on other presidential campaigns like David McReynolds and Walter Brown from the Mary Kyle Hollis from the Socialist Party USA, and I have and again I haven't done as much as I needed to for the Bernie Sanders campaign in 2016 and 2020, except I have done some canvassing. And I've done what I could to spread the word out, at least online, because of my work schedule and things of that nature. But the thing about it is, collectively speaking, the left, we're frustrated as hell. And we really need to find a formula that works. And does it mean working in the Democratic Party, or does it mean independent political action, or does it mean an inside-outside energy strategy? Well, I've thought about it over and over, and I've done the absolute of each kind. I've done the absolute third-party activism. I've done the inside the Democratic Party, trying to work from within the system, and have done the inside-outside strategy. And basically, I can surmise what the result is. Nothing freaking works, and it's almost a temptation not to ever vote again. And I'm saying, and that's not, I'm not telling you and you, all you out there not to vote. I'm just saying this is how I feel sometimes. This is very frustrating. And I'm saying this now, but I will end up voting, obviously, in 2022. And I have fears. I have strong fears because of the ineptness of the Democrats. They're afraid to govern when they're in power. When they're in power, they're afraid to govern. And so you right now, while Chuck Schumer is the Senate Majority Leader by the institution says he's the Senate Majority Leader because of Kirsten Sinema and because of don't mention Mitch McConnell is still the default Senate Majority Leader. He's Senate Majority Leader in everything but the title right now, and so that asshole is going to be the Senate Majority Leader again in 2022, and Kevin McCarthy is going to be the Speaker of the House in 2022. And why? Because Nancy Pelosi is worthless. Chuck Schumer is worthless. And yeah, it's true. Uh, Mitch McConnell's worse than Chuck Schumer, and Nancy and Kevin McCarthy is obviously worse than Nancy Pelosi. But we're going to see what's going to happen, and it looks like everybody's going to settle for less shitty. And my prediction is that the Republicans are going to retake the House and the Senate, and that the left is going to be targeted by the corporate Democrats. And so I'm pessimistic about this. And with this pandemic and with the Delta variant going on, why the fuck are we not even talking about a public option, let alone Medicare for all? And why is it that some of these people who are supposed to be our leaders, that we put them in there, why are they discouraging these marches for Medicare for all? And and why are people like Anna Kasparian trying to sound like he works for Fox News by criticizing people for Medicare for all? And it was like listening to her lately. It's like listening to Sean Hannity. And so this is where we're at. I mean, you got Sean Hannity through Anna Kasparian, and you got Wolf Blitzer through Cenk Uygur, and they're trying to discourage the actual left, and and they're control opposition at this point. And so I'm glad that there is the real independent media out there, like Frank Analysis and like Shoe0nHead. And while my politics is closer to Shoe0nHead's than it is Frank Analysis, I do appreciate his perspective. And Frank Analysis is actually more correct on policy and on tactics than these sellouts from the Young Turks. And I'm going to include Sam Cedar's Majority Report, although it's slightly better than the Young Turks. It's not saying much. But anyway, that's all I got to say right now. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree, well, comment anyway. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel. First Amendment absolutists, go ahead and create your own platform. Utilize it, because we're the muckrakers of our time. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. And until next time, I am American Social Democracy. Fight like hell for Medicare for all, and work on that class struggle now. Absolutely. And I don't mean yesterday. I don't mean, whatever.